Well, good morning. It is Tuesday, not just any Tuesday, but Giving Tuesday, November 28th, and it's going to be a cold one. Wow. If you think it's going to get much more than what we have right now, well, think again. I'm going to give you the forecast in just a second. The news you can use always right off the top of the show. Welcome in to the Real Monica Adams Show. We are in our InVita Health and Wellness studios, looking a little bit different if today's your first day this week tuning in. We did flip things around this past weekend, have it all decorated up for Christmas. And I also want to thank our friend Sara over at Wildflowers. Now, yesterday I was telling you about our beautiful arrangements. Last night she sent me a little breakdown. So if you want some arrangements that look like this, let me tell you, they are located, first of all, at 2744 Lafayette Avenue. It's Suite 200. So I've got a couple of friends that are getting ready to have surgery, unfortunately. One next week, one in a couple weeks. I mentioned if it's maybe a get well, maybe it's a thank you, maybe it's for birthdays or Christmas, the holidays, New Year's, whatever, and you're looking to send some arrangements, why don't you think of our friends at Wildflowers? This one in front of us, I wouldn't be able to do it justice if she didn't send this to me. So this coffee table arrangement has white Majolica, maybe I might be butchering that. Do you know Majolica spray roses? I'm just gonna say beautiful white roses, juniper and white pine evergreen, dried and dyed red yarrow, dried pennycress, pine cones. Pine cones, by the way, is the biggest thing that she had mentioned. If you're just looking for something simple to put on your mantle, grab some sprigs, maybe even go out into the yard, grab some nice little greenery and some pine cones, put that up on a mantle. Plaid, ribbon, and gold glass ornaments, and the black compote from Crate and Barrel that I have here next to me, that's the base of it. She said it's just very simple. She even got the base for this one at Amazon. This has juniper and white pine evergreen, dried pennycress, pine cones, the plaid ribbon, and a red lion amaryllis bulb. And this is the biggest thing that I want you to pay attention to. Inside of here, I want you to keep an eye on it. Over the next month, she said it's going to keep growing, and it's going to be red, and it's going to come popping up over mine and Jim's picture. So it's starting off as a little bulb inside of there now, but she said it grows about an inch a day. That's the thing that I think is cool. And if you've been watching over the last several months, these palm trees behind us, they all get little babies. And when they have babies, then we get to cut off some of these bigger branches. So in the middle of this one is a baby. And so I always say we're having a baby shower every day. So yes, all the live trees and the live plants just make me so happy. Have you been decorating, by the way? Did you decorate already over the weekend? We are just now getting to all of it. I thought we were going to put the tree up, but Jim said there's a bunch of lights that are missing. So evidently, we're going to go get a live tree. Not sure if we're going to cut one down or if we're going to go to one of the tree farms. I think I'd like to go to Meert's. If you've never been there, it's in Festus. And why? Because Caroline Meert was one of our interns. She's now in Syracuse, New York, but her family owns that. So if you're looking, again, I love to support local as much as you possibly can, but there's another tree farm for you. You can try that, or Kirkwood Farmers Market, right across from where we broadcast on Wednesdays and Fridays. Or maybe you go down to Ted Drew's and get yourself a concrete. But yes, let me know. I asked the other day, live or fake? I'll ask our guest of that as well. I, of course, like real things as much as possible. That's why we've got what we have on the set, and that's why it's called The Real Monica Adams Show. One more thing before we get into our topic of the day. Did you watch our friend Ruby Lee last night? Do you watch The Voice? I wasn't a big fan over the last couple of years. I'm not going to say I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a big watcher just because I was so crazy busy. But now I am zoned in, tuned in to watch our friend Ruby. If you haven't seen that show, you've got to watch it. She performed for us so many times, and she's just got an incredible voice. Reba McEntire said last night she thinks that Ruby is fibbing to us and that she's not really 16 years old, but she's 45 years old. I was like, you would think so. The way she talks, the maturity, just the way she performs. So she did an incredible rendition of a Linda Ronstadt song. If you didn't see it, look it up online. And then next week, because she is now in the lives where you get a vote for her, and she said you can vote 10 times, so make those vote count. Ruby Lee, again from Foley, Missouri, she is now on the Team Reba, 3 of them that Reba saved, and Ruby, of course, is one of them. So go, Ruby. We're so excited for you. All right, have you been walking around and people are sneezing and coughing in your face? It's cold season. Flu season, mixed with COVID, RSV. There are so many things. So yes, I say 'tis the season of happiness and shopping and merriment, and unfortunately it is also 'tis the season for all the germs and the cold. So how do we prevent that from happening to us? Building up our immunity. That's our topic of the day, and we're going to talk with Sara Franco from InVita Health and Wellness. You're seeing immunity right there. Ginger, beets, and oranges. What do we need in our food? Vitamins, supplements. What do we need to do with our bodies? Well, Sarah's the one that's going to tell us. Dr. Sara Franco in the blue chair when we return. InVita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. InVita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, InVita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let InVita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment or online InVitaHealthandWellness.com. Vital. Welcome back, 7:06, and it's the Real Monica Adams Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I always love for you to tell me where are you watching from. So many of you take us on vacation, which just it just blows my mind. But thank you. But that means you want that positive message no matter where you are around the world. Today, by the way, is Giving Tuesday, a movement that started back in 2012. So think about the people who could use your help. Again, the nonprofit organizations, anything that has to do with animals are near and dear to my heart. So we're talking about, of course, Yuppie Puppies Forever Rescue that we raised $18,000 for. Randy's Rescue Ranch, you're going to see an incredible package on Randy. I'm hoping that's coming up this Friday, but I'll let you know for sure. Anything like Humane Society, the APA, Open Door Animal Sanctuary. I'm very big into animals. So think about the animals. Think about cancer. My father died from cancer, so it's always big with me. Not just the American Cancer Society. The Peregrine Society, by the way, is also amazing. And then also for children. I am in love with kids. I wish I would have been blessed to have them, but it's all about taking care of them, especially when we hear about the abuse that happens to kids. So any of those organizations, and for women and domestic violence. Those are the ones near and dear to my heart, and that's who I give to today. But think of who you can give to on this Giving Tuesday. And if you've never followed that website, by the way, do so. It's really awesome to see the money going up and up and up, and they have these big power hours. So today is that day, Giving Tuesday. All right? Today is also a day for us to talk about tips we can give you to build up your immunity. My friend Sara Franco, Dr. Sara Franco, is in with us from InVita Health and Wellness. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we were sitting here talking about Cabo. I love Cabo San Lucas, and she and her husband just came back from there, and that was your first time ever going, is that right?
First time to Cabo. Uh-huh.
But she goes deep sea fishing, and you guys were, she's sending me these pictures. I'm like, I've gone before, and we catch these little babies. What'd you catch?
We caught a total of 4 mahi-mahi. My husband caught like a 6.5-foot sailfish, and then he caught a slapjack, which they use for bait, so.
And so I asked her if they mounted it, and she's like, yeah, we were going to. It's really expensive, by the way, everybody, to mount those.
So
did they say $6,000?
They did. They said $6,000, and I was like, pesos? And they said, no, U.S. dollars. I'm like, you can go ahead and throw that.
Go back and swim, fishy.
Yes.
Did you get a chance to taste any of them that you caught?
I didn't. We didn't. We were going to have them actually packaged and shipped back, but it's so expensive to do so. So we already had kind of made the commitment to, if we're not going to, my husband and I both are not anti-hunting, anti-fishing, right. But we're also not we're not up for being cruel to animals either. So if we're not going to do something with them, then we would have just, let them go. So we actually had them cut up and then we gave them to the locals.
Yes.
So
So we went, I'm not big on going the same thing that you said. My husband actually said, I'm never going to do it again, Monica. You know why? There were 2 people on the boat with us, and we caught the fish, but they had the fish in the cooler behind us, and he kept hearing it flipping around, and he's like, I can't do this. He's like, I just keep thinking I'm so upset about what's happening. He's like, can't do this anymore. I'm like, he goes, what's happening to me? And I said, you're so tenderhearted as you get older. I love it.
I know it is. I mean, it was kind of, they were thumping around a little bit. Luckily it didn't last long, but I was, I'm just thinking as a healthcare provider, I'm like, are they suffocating in there? So.
I think, see, not all of you. Again, I'm not knocking.
It felt awful.
We're not knocking hunting. We're not knocking hunting. I understand sometimes why people say that they're vegan. I get it, because I just love animals so much. We have the deer that walk around at our house, and my husband always goes, oh, your pets are in the backyard. And then I hear, of course, the hunters are like, oh, can I come over? I'm like, don't, they're babies. Stop thinking of that.
I know, yes.
All right. Anyway, so she just got back from Cabo, a beautiful place if you've never been. A nice time to get the mindset and the spirit set, all the things we talk about with health. But then when it comes to the body, you take care of the body at InVita, inside and out. For anybody who's never been to InVita Health and Wellness, we actually have a website and kind of navigating the website so you can see, there it is, a deeper understanding and some better solutions. So many different things that they do for you on the inside and out. Today we're going to talk about what do we need to do to boost our immunity, because Just last night, I had 2 people come to the house that were afraid because they were around somebody who had COVID and they didn't know until Thanksgiving. And they're like, oh, we were around them. Should we come to the house? And I was like, oh gosh, we're back into this again. I don't know. I don't know what to say. You know, as a healthcare professional, if someone's coming down with COVID, where are we right now? Or like if you're around somebody on Thanksgiving, so it was Thursday, and they're coming to a class to work out last night, would you have said it was okay that they were around this person 4 days ago?
So it really depends on the symptoms.
Yeah, they didn't have
I
any.
mean, COVID is ever evolving. You get this strain, then there's another strain, and then it mutates. And the latest CDC guidelines say that you need to be symptom-free for 5 days. Once you're symptom-free for 5 days, then you're okay to be around. You're probably not necessarily going to test negative at that point. So it isn't as much as, testing negative and then you're safe to be around as much as just being symptom free.
I just appreciate, though, the caring aspect, because one of the girls had driven in from Richmond Heights and she was up the top of our hill, like literally seconds away. And she's like, Monica, I don't know, should I come? And I'm like, where are you right now? Because it's like 10 after 5. You should almost be here. I am at the top of the hill. I go, oh my gosh, come.
Right.
But thank you for that. And then there was another girl saying, oh, well, I was actually around somebody, but I don't have any symptoms. It's like 4 days ago. And I said, yeah, this is where we are right now in the world. I mean, we all remember back 3 years ago where we had such the unknown. We were all freaking out.
Right.
What do we do? Then are you going to be around elderly people, or is there somebody? And there was a woman who's pregnant, and it's all those things and the levels of what you go through. But what can we do to boost our immunity for this season that we're in, coupled with, again, the flu and cold and RSV and all the things that are going around?
Right. So it's really important to just keep your body in as best shape as it can. So the elements and the vitamins, vitamin C, magnesium, zinc, doing daily supplementation or doing an intravenous supplementation of those is very important. Those are all just very helpful as far as warding off bacterial infections, viral infections, and then just overall wellness.
Okay, so let's break all those down. You rattled off several of the vitamins. If we're doing vitamin C, let's start with that one. How much?
1,000 milligrams a day is what your recommended daily value is.
Okay.
So whether you get that in your food which we get a lot of it in our food.
Right.
But whether you get that in the food or you get that as supplementation, and we've talked about the supplementation before. Unfortunately, fortunately, vitamins, the bioavailability, so what your body is able to absorb after it goes through your stomach and your small intestines and your liver, there's just not a whole lot of it left. So it's really important that we're eating those fruits and vegetables and things like that in addition to supplementing the vitamins.
And I put together some slides today to show different, and we're going to stop at them and just kind of break it down and ask Sara what she thinks of each one of those. So when I think of vitamin C, and most people, if you were right here in the room, I would ask all of you, I would say, what do you think of with vitamin C? And they'll say that, I can guarantee you, right there. Orange juice or oranges. But there are many things that have vitamin C in it. So if we want to immediately at home, yes, orange juice. But what else could we be eating throughout the day?
Really any kind of citrus fruit. There are a lot of, vegetables. I mean, we think of vegetables for other things, but they're full of vitamins. A lot of the protein things that are available all have some of those recommended daily vitamins that are in those as well.
There you go. So I think this is what's interesting. Let's stay with that one for a second. So we're looking at red pepper. We're looking at broccoli. We're looking at bananas. The lycopene that's in tomatoes. The vitamin C that's in, obviously, orange juices, but she just said the citrus aspect. So think of grapefruits. There's kiwis on there. There's garlic on there. There's tomatoes, I mentioned earlier, blueberries, parsley. I mean, these are the things I think, especially when we also, not just vitamin C, but I think the thing that's in that top left there, when people talk about potassium, one of the very first things they think of is bananas, and they think that's the only thing that has potassium in it. But it's not. And you probably want to educate yourself a little bit more on the food aspect alone. Well, once again, if we're just tuning in, this is Dr. Sara Franco from InVita Health and Wellness. I'll look down at your comments as well. Are any of you going through that right now? Are you finding that your immunity is so low that you have gotten a cold, then you've come down with the flu? Unfortunately, one of my clients just came down with COVID last Thursday. She said it's the sickest that she has ever been. Knock on wood, I've still not had it. Gosh, I wish I wouldn't have said that. But for all of you that right now are watching or listening, are you or your family members coming down with it already? Is this about is this later in the season than normal as far as when we start talking about cold and flu? Does it start? I thought I remembered when I was in news that it started a lot earlier than we thought.
It generally did. It seems that these weather changes and, the changes in the weather pattern are kind of affecting when we're seeing patients starting to come down and, ramping up numbers in influenza A and influenza B, RSV and things like that. It seems to be weather dependent. I don't know. There were a couple years where there was a lot of individuals wearing masks, which I am absolutely, I'm an advocate for mask wearing. Okay. However, that also is going to lower your immunity because we're constantly exposed to things on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And when you're not exposed to those because you have a mask on pretty much anytime you're around anyone besides your immediate family, then your immunity is going to go down because you're not being constantly exposed to those little bitty bits of viruses, kind of the way allergy shots work. You're basically getting a very, very small dose of that to build up those antibodies and get that immunity. And whenever you're not being exposed to those things, not to say go cough and sneeze on your neighbor or anything, but when you're not being constantly exposed to those, then your immunity does go down a little bit.
Is it the same kind of mindset as with kids, right? It's like the kids have to be, you can't keep them in a bubble. You wish you could and they'd never get sick, but you have to expose them so that they build up their immunity, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, I remember going to the chickenpox party whenever I was younger. Right. Now I'm like, why would you ever do that? Mm-hmm. But now there's a vaccine, but yeah, it's the kids at school for a long time they were making them wear masks, and I have triplets that will be 5 here in just a little over a month, and they're sicker now, unfortunately, than they've ever been. They're in the same class, which kind of makes it, it's the same bugs that are, being traveling around. But they one day one will come home with all kinds of stuff running out of their nose and everything, and then within a day or two, the other 2 have it. So, it's just, I feel like we're just a little petri dish right now, just kind of passing everything around.
Well, and that's a good point to think about, right? So if a wife comes home from work and she's starting to feel bad and she runs a fever and then she's like, I think I'm coming down with something. She's like, this girl said this to me, and she goes, I'm just so afraid my husband's going to get sick. And then sure enough, he was sick. So if there's even an inkling that someone's not feeling well, somebody else in the house or multiple people in the house, shouldn't they be trying to boost their immunity even more?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And wash your hands and, disinfect and just try to think of the things, this time of year, we try not to eat a lot of things where our hands have to be in our mouth. There's a lot of little things out there that you can do to protect yourself. And even being kind of proactive. Before my husband and I went to Mexico, we went to InVita and did an immunity booster, one to just kind of, boost up our hydration as well. Mm-hmm. But, we knew that we were going to be traveling on an airplane, breathing that recycled air that is not filtered whatsoever. So, we did that. We did that whenever we left to go down there. And then I was actually sick by the time I got home and did one when I canceled on you. And then did one at work the next day. When we were talking about vitamin C, the interesting thing about vitamin C is a lot of these things, magnesium, daily recommended value 400 to 500 milligrams, zinc, recommended value between 5 and 10 milligrams a day. Okay. Those are all things that luckily, if you have normal kidney function and things like that, if you've taken in too much of those, then you urinate those back out. Those are water soluble kind of things. But vitamin C, kind of jumping back to that, if you start to get, the recommended daily value, 1,000 milligrams, if you get to about 5,000 milligrams, that's about all your body can absorb. But once you get over 10,000 milligrams, which is what we put in our immunity booster, then it becomes an oxidizer, meaning it basically promotes the absorption of oxygen in the blood. Viruses, viral cells, bacterial cells, cancer cells, those are all things that do not like oxygen. So if you are, have been exposed to those things, or you're actively infected with those things, then doing something like an immunity booster or really dosing up higher than you normally would, but not too high, on vitamin C can actually either lessen the symptoms of those illnesses or maybe even prevent you from developing those.
Wow. So. And you mentioned cancer cells, again, not liking the oxygen. I mean, so to me, behoove you all to be listening to this about constantly keeping your body in a high state of taking care of your immunity. Somebody did just ask, I'll look at your questions. If you have any questions, by the way, for Dr. Sara Franco, let us know. InVita Health and Wellness, located in the Kirkwood area. Somebody just asked, what do you think of taking airborne every day?
I would not do airborne every day.
Yeah. I've only taken it like when I go on a plane.
Exactly. If you're going to be doing something, like I said, that is going to be exposing you, I mean, if you're going to be going to a large gathering, particularly kind of in a closed space and not an open air space, if you're going to be in an airplane, if you're going to be cooped up in a bus or something like that with a lot of people, then that would be the time to do that. But you don't want to, there is just like, taking antibiotics when you don't need them and things like that, you can be killing off natural flora, natural bacteria that your body uses to kind of keep things in check. So you want to be careful that you don't want to overdo it either.
Okay, it's 7:21. I'm going to take a quick break, and actually, let's go ahead and go to some questions and comments that you might have, because a lot of you might be dealing with it right now, or your kids are coming home, they're sick, or they're going to get sick. So can you go through this season, go through the winter, get into spring, and not get sick? Is it possible? Well, the more you boost that immunity, maybe you stave that off. So we're going to look at some of your questions that are coming in. Go ahead and write some of them as we take a quick break. More about building up your immunity with Dr. Sara Franco. InVita Health and Wellness, by the way, it's InVitaHealthAndWellness.com. Check it out maybe while we're at the break.
Hi, it's Monica Adams. Thank you so much for following along with The Real Monica Adams Show since we launched back in March. But I wanted to let you know there's so much more that I could do with you, your business, your corporation. Did you know that I'm a motivational speaker all around the world, as well as an MC and an auctioneer? So if you have an event, maybe a nonprofit organization, and you want to book me, just shoot me an email, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Personal training, life coaching, and styling as well. Info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com.
Welcome back. It is 7:22, The Real Monica Adams Show, and she just said something seconds ago that triggered something that I wanted to bring up today. So this is how real I want to be. I'm going to expose my innards to you, my insides. Dr. Sara Franco from InVita Health and Wellness with us. Let me ask your questions first, because you're important, and then we'll get to me next. But I want you to think about this. You've heard me say over and over again the importance of having your lab work done. I finally got a chance to get mine done, and I'm going to let you know what it is, okay? Because you know I'm healthy. You know that I eat well and that I work out and I live this balanced life. But what's going on their insides? I remember years ago this incredible book, which is where we all started to hear about Dr. Mehmet Oz. Dr. Oz and Dr. Roizen have a book called You, the Owner's Manual, that I thought was such a huge wake-up call. Oprah obviously found Dr. Oz, and that's how we all know about him. But it was so amazing that a lot of people are walking around, Sarah, and they're like, oh my gosh, they look like the epitome of health. But what's going on the inside of them, right? So that's why I love you having your blood work done. We're going to talk about what mine showed in just a second. So first question I'm going to get to was, where did it go? Oh my gosh, here we go. Seems like so many are vitamin D deficient and are not diagnosed. Should that be part of the balance?
Absolutely. So vitamin D is linked to so many things. On the mental health side, anxiety, depression, it's one of our proponents for our components of our immunity booster. I tell all of the patients that I talk to here in the Midwest, and particularly this time of year, everyone is vitamin D deficient. We do not get enough sunshine here, which is our major source of vitamin D. So that almost always has to be supplemented for individuals.
And for daily, it should be 5,000
Yes.
international units?
Yes.
Right? Okay, so let's go to this, by the way, before I get to the next one, because this is what just triggered it. So I did have my blood work done, and my vitamin D is low, folks. I was taking, now this is my fault. The whole thing about me taking care of everybody else, and then I forget to take care about myself. I had everything lined up, was good to go, and stopped taking it. And obviously it's showing. How low was it? Low?
It
low?
was pretty low.
See?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and you mentioned before about the importance of getting it in the body, not having too much that it goes out in waste, but how should we do it? Should we take it in supplement form? I told her, I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? So we're just going to lay it all out there. It's not just my vitamin D that was low. Did you say my progesterone and estrogen were almost non-existent?
Yes.
Yes. So there's that. Testosterone is low also, right?
It was a little low. Yes.
Ladies, you need to know this, because people hear the word testosterone, a lot of ladies, and they think, oh, that's for guys. No. our testosterone, progesterone, estrogen. Men have to check the testosterone, free testosterone, all these different things. I also wanted to do it fasting because I wanted to check. I have diabetes in my family. I wanted to know about my A1C numbers. Now that all looked okay?
Everything looked great there.
Except, so the only things that didn't was the vitamin D and
the vitamin D and then the hormones.
Okay, so what happens? Like if you get the same kind of lab work back or you haven't had it done and you want to have it done, this is why I want you to trust my friend here. So Dr. Sara Franco, the staff at InVita Health and Wellness, they can have your lab work done, then come back and then you say, okay, which I sent her a text and said, okay, what do we do? So when you have that come back, what happens? Where do we start?
So vitamin D in particular, what I'll tell patients is we need to get those levels up. And I just want to completely emphasize I am not anti-vitamin whatsoever because I think those are great. Unfortunately, they usually will not get you there. Now they may keep you there, but we need to get you there. So you would probably, what I would do for you is bring you in and do an intramuscular injection. I mean, you can put vitamin D in small amounts into large volumes of IV fluid, but I would definitely suggest doing 100,000 international units twice a month, which is much more than what the maximum value is to get your vitamin D level up and then recheck your level and then have you start on a supplement.
So we're looking at supplements, we're looking at vitamins there on the screen. I've got some pictures also, though, showing the importance, you just said, intramuscular. So to get into immediately, twice a month?
Twice a month to get started. And then after that, we drop down to once a month.
And does it matter how you spread out in that twice a month?
It doesn't. I will tell you that when I started supplementing my vitamin D, you feel like you can take over the world the next day.
I feel like that every day, Sarah.
So
Watch out.
I really like the energy boost that it gives me. But and like just kind of spreading things out. So you can come in. I mean, needles aren't fun, right? We understand that. So if you just want to do what you have to do, then you come in once a month. If you want to break it in half, then we would do 50,000 every couple weeks. If you want to get a shot, my B12 is always low. I drink some iced tea, which is not great for your B12 level either.
Oh, good to know.
But
what about hot iced tea or any kind of tea?
Any kind of tea.
Even herbal teas? Mm-hmm. God, she's such a wealth of knowledge. This is why I love having her. And I've been telling her for a while I wanted her live because I really want her to interact with you. Had no idea. I do not do caffeine, and if I do it, let's say this: I rarely do caffeine. My body doesn't like caffeine. The weird thing is, caffeine makes my blood pressure and everything drop. It's very strange. Mm-hmm. I mean, it'll go up and then and my heart rate and everything is super, super low, and I get like a little dizzy. So I don't do caffeine. I know that about my body. That's the other thing I think is important for you to understand. You need to know your body, and then you need an advocate, a health advocate that will take care of you to say, no, you probably should stay away from this. But I don't like to do a lot of caffeine. I do, just for the warmth of it, like to do herbal teas. But if we do too much of that, that's not good for our vitamin B.
B12. Mm-hmm. Yes. If you go back, it binds to intrinsic factor, and all of those things can lower your B12 levels.
Oh, was my B12 okay?
Your B12 was okay.
So I can keep having my herbal tea?
So you can keep having your herbal tea. You can keep having your herbal tea. But I liked what you mentioned as far as knowing your bodies, because we have our lab normals, right? If you think of something like a thyroid panel, I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which again, in the Midwest, particularly the lead belt, there's a lot of autoimmune diseases, lupus, Hashimoto's, which is just basically low thyroid. What you have to keep in mind is a lab normal TSH for a thyroid is going to be between, 0.05 and 6. I don't feel good at a 4 TSH. I feel really good a 1.5 to 3. So you do have to keep in mind that when you do have your labs checked, that's one of the things that I like about functional medicine is you need to find your normal. Yes. So your B12 was within normal range. It was low normal, but it was within normal range. But maybe you would feel a little bit better with a little extra B12. I know you would feel a lot better with a little extra D. I mean, it affects our sleep cycle. It affects anxiety, depression, weight gain. There's a multitude of things that go into vitamin D, as well as immunity. So those are all parts of the routine lab work that we check.
Awesome. 7:29 again. Sara Franco in with us from InVita Health and Wellness. You can look at their website, InVitaHealthAndWellness.com. And if you have any questions, and a lot of them are coming in, this is why I told you I wanted you live. So we were talking about vitamin C, talking about magnesium, zinc. Again, a lot of pictures that I have loaded up that we made that showed the supplements, the vitamins. I've got some that show the shot, the importance of how do we get it into our body. So for those of you that have never had IV hydration therapy, there we go. So you said something about needles. If the person knows what they're doing, though, I don't even feel it going in.
It really shouldn't. You know, I was joking with a woman yesterday who I talked into getting a shot. She was like, I take this every single day. I can take extra. And I said, you can take extra, but your body is not going to absorb it that way. That's kind of the caveat there. There are definitely things that you can do, but I was joking with her. I feel like a lot of, it's just very cookie cutter. Everybody gets the same thing. Everybody, we use a 23 gauge needle. You don't need to use a 23 gauge needle. You can use a 25 gauge needle, and it does make a difference when you do that. So we try to kind of incorporate those things into making patients more comfortable and just doing things with the minimal amount of invasiveness as possible.
Right, because that's the thing. People used to fear going to the doctor, and that's not a good thing. I mean, you do need to know what's going on with your body, but some people won't go because they fear the needle. Or IVs. I mean, here's the thing. There are people who are so skilled and talented in doing an IV that I'm like, oh, it's in? I used to hate it. I mean, when I had my blood clot, for those of you that don't know, I went through a lot when I was 19, and it was just like prodding and poking on me, and then they were putting they had it in my femoral arteries, and they were trying to draw things out, and I was just like, okay, enough. And then I was be bruising up because my blood was so thin. But when they would go to do it, I would hate it, especially here, because they would do it in here, and there's not a lot there, right? But I've had it done here where I'm like, oh, wow. And I always I shouldn't get that excited of, wow, you're good. I just wish that was the case, across the board. Is it just a matter of being able to do it more and more and more that makes it better? Or why are some people horrible at it?
Yeah, I don't know why people are horrible at it. It's definitely a skill, though, that you have to, and there's areas of the hospital and things like that you definitely get more practice in anesthesia. Unfortunately,
Yes.
we start a lot of IVs. But I'm not, to all the nurses out there, I'm not narrowing this down, but generally emergency room nurses, they start a lot of the IVs.
Sure.
ICU nurses, the ones that are really doing that immediate kind of triage kind of patient care are the ones that are usually very skilled at those kind of things.
I wish I knew the lady's name that when I went and had my blood work done, because she was phenomenal. She did such a great job. I'm like, oh, we're done. I love it. Good job. She's like, oh, thanks, Monica.
Right. You do the same thing every single day, multiple times a day, and you're going to develop a skill at it. So.
All right, let's see. We're going to go to some more of your topics. Thank you. Beautiful set. Thank you. Yes, that don't you love that fireplace?
I do. It was so cute.
Does it make you feel like
it's
we're warm
and
in here?
cozy.
That's from Christopher's in Kirkwood, by the way. A lot of people are saying that they love the new festive set. Thank you for the topic. Have a great week. Okay, Kathy says, would a multivitamin do the trick, or should we take additional supplements of magnesium and zinc?
This time of year, your multivitamin is probably not going to do the trick. You're just going to need to like I said, you're going to have to kind of boost those levels up, and then multivitamins are great at keeping those levels there. Or maybe change your diet. It's just, as Americans, we don't eat well. You need a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. Look for a colorful plate. If you have a red fruit and a green vegetable and blueberries, and generally the more colorful you can make your plate, the more vitamins and nutrients you're getting into your body.
Yeah, you may have seen the slide that we showed earlier. Of course, we were talking about all the different vegetables, but right in the middle of one of them was a big thing of salmon. Mm-hmm. And so think about that. I know a lot of you might, I don't like fish. Well, just try it because it's better for you. Right. I hear mushrooms are a good source of vitamin D, says Kathy.
That is true. It is true. There are a lot of, not as many as with like vitamin C and some of the water soluble vitamins, but there is definitely some nutritional, some of the fat soluble vitamins like vitamin D in mushrooms, in some of the fishes, and you can get some of that there. A lot of it though, our vitamin D sources are going to be coming from the sunshine, and just this time of year.
We don't have it.
We don't have it.
Yeah, I gave you the forecast, by the way. Let's go ahead and give it to you one more time. Today, very, very cold. We're talking about a high maybe in the mid to upper 30s. It's going to drop into the 20s tonight. Tomorrow, though, is your pick day. I mentioned if you haven't gotten your Christmas lights up yet. Do you guys have them outside yet?
We do. We have our lights up.
Jim, you need to do this tomorrow for me. So tomorrow, sunshine and a high in the maybe 57, 58 degree range, which is fantastic. But then you've got some rain moving in, some drizzle on Thursday. The high is only going to be about 51. Then we're dropping to 44 on Friday. So we've got some rain mixed in for the next Thursday, Friday, Saturday time frame. But tomorrow, absolutely beautiful. Today, you better bring that coat and keep that coat with you. That's the other thing. A lot of people will say, you mentioned earlier about the temperature, if it changes, the weather aspect, if it changes, as far as us getting sicker, etc. But it's like, is it an old wives' tale about going outside with our hair wet, going outside without a coat on, or do you believe, as being in the medical professional field, that if we went outside and we don't have a coat, or we don't have gloves and all those things, and we come back in and we get sick? Or is it just our immunity's down?
It's more to do with immunity than, I don't think it's wise to go outside with wet
With
hair,
wet
but or necessarily with no coat, but that isn't what's getting you sick.
Okay, see, yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, you got to wear that coat. Mom said we have to wear that coat. Julie Fabian, this is an interesting one. She said she got her labs checked, and she said so thankful for pellets.
Pellets are great.
Break down pellets for people who don't know what we're talking about.
Right. So pellets are basically we're going to take a concentrated volume of a particular hormone, usually like testosterone, progesterone, those kind of things, and it's just a very small incision that we make. A little. It's called a trocar goes in, and then the pellet goes in. I love pellets. We do pellets at InVita. We also do just monthly intramuscular. The caveat with pellets are, once that medicine is in, you can't take it out. You kind of have to write it out. So
write it out for how long?
For generally 3 months.
Okay.
If the provider has checked your labs and hasn't overshot things, then things can be fine. What I've found with women in particular and testosterone is generally it's going to ramp that testosterone up very, very quickly, which isn't
so you can't change?
You can't change anything.
Yeah.
It's in there, so now you're stuck with it. But it is a one-time, kind of shot thing. You're good for 3 months versus coming in and getting, a testosterone injection twice a month or once a month. But you can overshoot things, and then you're just you just write it out until it's over with. So not anti-pellet,
Yeah.
but you do definitely want to make sure that you go to not just this cookie cutter place where every single person gets the same amount.
Right.
Because it's going to
Everybody's
vary.
body's different.
It's going to vary from person to person.
Where do you put the pellets?
Generally in the hip area. Yep.
Okay.
So
It's 7:37. We're going to take a break, look at more of your questions. We're talking about a lot of things that have to do with your body, and you've got to take care of it. You've only got one. You have a limited time here on Earth, even though you think you have endless days. We might as well make the most of them. If you have any questions, we'll be looking at them for you. Dr. Sara Franco, InVita Health and Wellness. Once again, that website, InVitaHealthAndWellness.com, located at 333 Kirkwood Road. If you've not been, maybe give them a call today and say, you know what, I need to boost my immunity. We'll have more with Sara when we return.
Carroll House Furniture is growing and hiring for many positions. Drive to success, delivering concierge service and setup in customer homes.
Enjoy teamwork in our clean, organized warehouse where Carroll House stocks for fast, free delivery.
Associates sell more and make more with 3.5 acres of choices in stock, infinite custom orders, plus the lowest prices in the country.
If you like top pay and the best benefits in St. Louis, you'll love working here.
So if you like nice things, join the Carroll House Furniture family.
Well, the warmer weather is exiting and colder weather is upon us. Have you been putting off getting that heater inspected or fixed? Well, that's like pushing your car to fumes. You don't want to be left feeling empty and cold. Let Aldon Indoor Air Quality Specialist come to your rescue to take you out of the miserable cold inside your home and help warm you, your home, and your hearts. Don't put it off or you'll be stranded inside in the cold. Aldon Indoor Air Quality Specialist. From routine maintenance to unexpected repairs, they've got you covered with 24-hour availability. al-don.com.
And welcome back, 7:38. Another one of my dear friends, Kathy Kilo Peterson. What an incredible woman she is. So just as a human being, the kindness that she has, the way she wants to give to the world, imagine her being your State Farm agent. That's the kind of person you want looking out for you and your entire family. You know, we're talking about the season of giving, and she came up with a really great idea. So parents, grandparents, she has a lot that buy a small whole life policy for their grandkids or their kids for Christmas. that's probably something in addition because the kids want to open toys or something else, but have that form. They're going to thank you down the line. It's a gift that lasts a lifetime, and you're providing a piece of their financial future. Again, basically toys, they come and go, so why not give them something that they'll always think of well into their adult ages? Actually, some policies are less than $20 per month. 636-561-6460, and again, that website, kkilo.com. Kathy, love you. Thank you again for being a part of our show. We couldn't do it without our sponsors, and our title sponsor right here with us today. She believed in us from day one. Sara Franco with InVita Health and Wellness. Just love what she's doing and helping to help the world. I just looked down and saw somebody's comment that made me laugh. So somebody just said, oh, it's Michelle. Oh, heaven help us if Monica gets more energy.
Right.
This is how I am when I wake up in the morning, and my husband will be like, hold on. Wait a minute, I need coffee to handle you. So I can't imagine, which is why I'm shocked. Sometimes people say this in the healthcare industry. They're like, okay, so this is low on you. I don't understand how they used to say this. I don't know how you're even functioning. Like, this is low. And then they'll say, I can't believe you're in such incredible shape because this is low. And I'm like, I'm trying to get it higher. So you and I will, because I said, what do I need to do? So I will come in and we'll do this. Now, she also knows this, and this is what I love about her. She knows I have the blood clotting disorder, which has always been my fear. And in the past, by people who didn't know what they were doing before I met you, they were just like, oh, yeah, you can do this, you can do this. I was like, oh, great. It's called Wonder Woman. I'm going to get the Wonder Woman shot because that's been my nickname, right? So I do this, I do all these different things, and then all of a sudden, the one nurse at the very end, and thank God for her, she's like, whoa. Did you say that you have a clotting disorder? We need to rethink all this. And I was like, but I just did all this.
Right.
Wow. And that was such a wake-up call of, don't go walking back into there anymore. You need someone, and that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of these shops that are popping up with people that have no background in the medical industry. And I'm sure that really frustrates you. Or, I mean, that's why you want to do what you do and keep doing what you do, because of the fact that you have that background and you truly care, but you have the background in the field. But aren't you scared about all the things that are out there?
It's a little alarming how easy somebody can walk in and just,
Want to start up.
Just want to start things up. And it's important to realize, when you're talking about things like testosterone and things like that, there is a normal range of testosterone, and then there is a high range. Now, again, I just mentioned that the normal range may not feel normal for certain individuals. You may need a little bit more, or you may need a little bit less. But you do have to keep in mind that a lot of those hormonal things, like testosterone, if you start getting exogenous, meaning it's coming from the outside into your body, then your body is not going to produce as much as it used to. Mm-hmm. So now you have to continue to get that and continue to get more. I'll test. It's generally men, because women start to have things like a mustache and kind of
well, that's what I was going to ask you earlier,
things.
Sarah, when you said that people are having pellets done, and if it's too much, and then that's 3 months in, they can't do anything about it.
They can't. And generally the complaint I get is like, I had this put in and I felt better, but now I just feel like a crazy person. I just have these mood swings, and it's the same thing that you hear about. I mean, testosterone is going to work, similarly, whether you're male or female. But it is alarming testing some of these folks that are, a lot of them are gentlemen that have gone to other clinics or, places that specialize in this thing, and they all seem to get the same amount. And I'm testing their testosterone, and it's 3 times the normal level. One, that's bad for you. That's bad for your heart. It's bad for it's bad for a number of reasons. But you're basally telling your body that it doesn't need to produce any of that any longer. But then if you don't do it for life, then your testosterone is going to be even lower than when you started. So it's really, more is not always better, right? And too much can actually be detrimental. So
you have these guys that will come in, and she said normally men, they'll be, I need my testosterone higher, and then they're just raging in anger, and they don't know why. I mean, seriously, that's dangerous, besides obviously what she just said with regards to your heart. Should we not take supplements before getting panels done?
I would, if you want the most accurate depiction of where you're, let me take a step back. If supplementation is something that you do on a daily basis, then I would recommend staying on your supplementation and having your labs checked to see where, if this multivitamin is what you're taking, if it has met all of your nutritional daily value needs, then you're going to be fine. if that's the vitamin that you're set on taking, if you take that and you go and you have your vitamin D checked or your B12 checked and you realize that those are still low, then you're going to need to supplement in addition to that. If you haven't ever started, then I would recommend definitely getting your panels checked, seeing where you need to be, and how deficient you are, which will probably be a little alarming for a lot of folks, and then go ahead and get where you need to be, and then you can take that supplementation.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, a lot of people, I know a lot of you look at me. I'm a personal trainer, and I live this life, and you just figure, oh, I'm sure her panels are fantastic. But this is why I had it done, because I hadn't had it done in a while. A long time ago, I went to a DO. He did the most advanced panels I've ever seen in my life. But it also had to do with the fact that I had a heart condition back when I was 19 when I had that blood clot. So there's a lot of things going on inside my body that I always want to keep ahead of. And that's something. If you go and have your panels done, how often should we be doing them?
I would say a minimum of every 6 months, just a couple times a year.
Okay.
If you're starting to have things manipulated, then I would definitely recommend having them done more frequently than that. If for vitamin D, for instance, if we have a number of things that are low and now we've supplemented you with that, particularly intravenously or intramuscularly, like an injection, which will get those levels up much, much higher, then we want to check your levels pretty frequently after that, maybe every 2 months, maybe even once a month, until we get you where you feel the optimal, and then we just need to keep you there.
Okay, perfect. Kathy says Monica will grow a visible cape with a vitamin D injection.
Yeah, you will
Just
be bouncing
watch out.
off these walls.
You're going to know, because I'm going into her to have this all taken care of. This is a good question. Someone said supplements that you buy. You don't necessarily have to say a big box store. Okay? I don't need to give a plug to this particular place. Like Spring Valley, are they any good?
They are. I mean, what you need to be cautious of are these vitamins that will advocate for themselves that you'll absorb 80% of them or you'll absorb 90% of them. That's just not the way those things work.
Why are they allowed to say that on a label?
Generally, underneath the level, it'll say this is not FDA approved, or this is, you can make a lot of those claims. And again, I just want to emphasize, I'm not anti taking your vitamins. I take a multivitamin every day. But you need to, if you are supplementing with those, and if you're paying a lot of money for those, you do need to go get a level checked and see where you are.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times you're going to find out that it's not the way the gastrointestinal tract works. You're not going to absorb 90% of those vitamins if you take them orally.
Well, and I'm glad you just said a point that I wanted to bring up before we wrapped up in about 15 minutes here. Cost factor. Okay, so there are so many. You could be in the store forever just reading labels and like, my friend takes this one. Well, my mom takes this one. I don't know. Which one should I take? There's so many that if you're not in the industry like she is, that we're like, I don't know. I don't know. Start reading up on it. But then who do you trust? And what's able to fly by that they're going to put on the label that you're going to trust? So then when we look at the cost of everything, I mean, you open up a cabinet and people have supplement upon supplement. Let's break that down compared to coming in and having it done intramuscular or in an IV hydration therapy kind of thing. What is the cost of that?
Generally, it is going to, if you, I mean, this would be regular supplementation. I mean, I have patients come in that have a list of herbal supplements and things that they take. I can't even imagine what that ends up costing at the end of the month. But, if you have a good multivitamin that is just, hitting magnesium, calcium, vitamin D, vitamin B, vitamin A, those kind of things, then it's going to probably be a balance. The nice thing about getting something intravenously or intramuscularly is you don't have to do it on an empty stomach. You don't have to do it first thing in the morning. It's not a handful of pills that you have to take every single day. A lot of times
you forget to do.
Well, right. And then if you forget to eat first, or if you can't eat first, or there's a lot of medications that you need to take after you've eaten. There's medications that you need to take on an empty stomach. Maybe you need to avoid grapefruit juice after. I mean, there's all of these different kind of rules that go along with these medications, and it takes all of that out of, that. Plus the GI upset that comes along with it. There's going to be preservatives and additives and things like that that are in most of these things. And a lot of times that will cause just some kind of vague nausea, just gastrointestinal upset.
Okay, so just like supplements, by the way, because some people will say, oh, well, is this covered by insurance? No, but nor are your supplements.
Right.
Nor are your vitamins.
Right.
So if I want to come in, and so I have to have, maybe we'll boost vitamin B12 a little bit, even though it's in the normal range.
Yes.
We'll do vitamin D. and then we'll look at my estrogen and progesterone and testosterone levels. But so if I came in to do that, just because people probably want to know just a baseline.
Sure.
That would cost about how much?
So we do a vitamin B12, vitamin D combination for $40 a month, and that's the maximum monthly value is what we end up giving you. Now you may need more than that to kind of, like I said, to get you up there. Right now, our November December special is the sunshine injection, so vitamin D for $10.
Okay, well, look at that. And that's going to last us much longer than what those pills are that we're trying to take, that we don't even know if we're taking a good one. There you go. I think that might have been your big wake-up call. You're all asking some good questions in here. Do you need to take vitamin E for absorption on vitamin C?
Vitamin E is important to take for absorption, but most of the vitamin E that we get is going to come in our, if you're eating correctly, the correct amount of vitamins, of vegetables and fruits and things like that, then you're going to have a sufficient level of vitamin E. That isn't one that we commonly see as being low.
Okay. Without having children, I have sweet neighbors who brighten my life. My legacy to them is a life policy for them. Oh, we were talking about Kathy Kilo earlier. Yeah, those life policies are priceless. Juice Plus. Who eats healthy in our country? I have seen many benefits for these fruit and vegetable supplements. Thoughts? My allergies disappeared, truly.
Right, and anything that is supplementing those vitamins, and generally Juice Plus is something that once you have, and I have friends that that are very much advocates of that. So it's hard, our kids in particular, it's really hard to get them to eat all the fruits and vegetables. As a child, I didn't like Brussels sprouts or asparagus or any of those either.
Unless it had cheese on it.
Right, exactly. But now they have the blends. You have to be careful of the amount of sugar and things like that are in it. But no, I mean, it absolutely makes sense that when you're getting the daily recommended value of all of those vitamins, you're going to feel better, you're going to look better, you're going to perform better, you're going to sleep better. All of those things are just going to fall into alignment.
So Richard just said, I noticed since I got married, my testosterone has gotten lower. I don't know about married. It's when you get older, Richard. That's nothing to do with your wife. And he said, my wife's has gotten much higher. I guess that's normal. And then he wrote LOL.
It is normal. So progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, it's very important to regulate all three of those together. If you start messing with one and not messing with the other two, then it can affect those. So generally when a woman's estrogen and progesterone levels start to go down, then the testosterone levels start to come up a little bit. Not as much, unless you're Monica. Once they go,
mine are zero. Below. Mine are non-existent.
They were non-existent.
Hey, I'm fine. Look, this is a real show. I'm letting you all know all about me. But where was my testosterone level?
I don't remember the exact number, but it was low normal. It was low normal. But it was in the normal range. Yep.
So here, you know what? We haven't asked that. So if estrogen's low or non-existent, and progesterone non-existent or low, testosterone in the lower normal range, what's happening to us when those levels are not where they need to be?
That's generally just an indication of menopause.
Oh, okay. So, and for ladies that have not been in menopause, you're not in perimenopause, any levels of that, and you think, oh my gosh, I'm afraid of what's going to happen. If I left those alone and I didn't have you take care of them, what would my life look like?
It would just stay the same as what it is now. So if you're not having,
I'm shocked that I'm actually able to do this.
if you're not having symptoms, and that.
No, I am.
Oh, okay. Well,
so I have, I will kick the covers off left and right, and I'll have night sweats. I don't have weight gain, which I'm gonna do this for, which I'm happy because that's what a lot of doctors have told me was, Monica, I'm shocked that you're able to keep the muscle that you have with the levels that you have. You agree with that?
I do agree with that because as we get older, it was funny. I was joking with my daughter about this in the car. I'm like, everything slows down, everything besides weight. And goes up as you get older. But if you're doing the right things, then you're not going to exhibit those symptoms necessarily to the same severity as somebody else. Okay. But again, it's individualized. A testosterone of 40 for you may be like 130 for someone else. It depends on if the juice is worth the squeeze is what I tell individuals. If you do have a blood clotting history, so yes. Hormone replacement therapy is going to be kind of a delicate balance for you.
Well, we'll go ahead and talk about that. So I always say it wrong. Is it factor 5 or Leiden factor 5?
Well,
factor?
I mean, that's just the name of the factor.
Yeah. Well, so however you say, I always say it wrong, but however you say that, I have a clotting disorder that they didn't know about when I had this massive blood clot when I was 19. They didn't do the test back then. I am a big advocate for people to ask for the test because it's not some rare thing. A lot of people have it. In fact, if someone has it in your family, you probably have somebody else, cousins. Now I've found out that my cousins do, my brother does, my nephew does. You can have it from both sides. I actually, shocking with how large the clot was, that I only had it from one side, from my mother's side, not from my dad's side. But that was the biggest thing when I went to my OBGYN. He was like, okay, so we got to be careful with you. And I said, okay, so what do we do? So I was doing the cream, right? Like it looks like a little, like a deodorant thing where click, click, click. What is your thoughts on that compared to treating in another way?
Well, again, it's all going to kind of come down to bioavailability. And as far as routes of administration go for hormones and a lot of different drugs, you can do pellets, you can do intramuscular, you can do a cream, you can do a pill. There are suppositories. I mean, there's a vast amount. Depending on, and we would have to look at each one individually, depending on what you're talking about. It's going to affect the availability of your body to absorb it. So for hormones, in particular progesterone, estrogen, creams are generally okay, especially if you don't have a lot of supplementation that you're needing to do. And again, we like to treat things based on how it's making the patient feel versus what their number says.
Right.
So.
I'm going to take another break, but I'm going to ask her a little bit more in depth into this because I did it, forgot to have, again, it's a whole thing of, forgot to take it, I'm rushing around, that wasn't a normal part of my life, so it wasn't like, Monica, you got to do this. Then it became, and I did it for 3 months, but then because I knew I wanted to come to her, I stopped doing it. So it's almost like, how quickly does it get out of your body for me to have 0? That's shocking to me. That's why I was like, what? I was taking this little click, 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 but they were wanting it to be on the absolute lowest level that they could do. So we'll talk a little bit more about that and also look at some more questions with Dr. Sara Franco and InVita Health and Wellness.
Think about this. When's the last time you called your doctor at 2 o'clock in the morning and he actually answered? Well, at InVita Health Advocates, their patients are special. Their doctors, nurse practitioners, their care team care deeply about your health, your family, your work, and even your pet. Their clinicians are accessible and they lead your care in and out of the hospital. In fact, Dr. Charles Willie offers his cell phone number to his patients to ensure they can intervene early in your illness. They can provide care above and beyond, offering lab, x-ray, echocardiogram, and other treatments in their office. InVita Health Advocates with 5 locations on both sides of the river. Check them out, innovarehealth.com. InVita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. InVita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, InVita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let InVita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment or online InVitaHealthAndWellness.com.
Welcome back, 7:57, and if you're just tuned in to the Real Monica Adams Show, do me a favor, go back. This was a really informative one. It'll give you a wake-up call probably on a lot of things if your body's not feeling the way it should. And Sara and I have been talking about this. Dr. Sara Franco from InVita Health and Wellness. How do I feel? I mean, pretty good. Sometimes I'll be like, gosh, I'm tired. But I've also lived 30 years of my life getting up at 1:30 in the morning, going to bed at maybe 8:30. I don't know how I functioned, honestly. And sometimes I would go to the doctor over the years and they'd be like, gosh, your levels are low. I don't know how you have so much energy. I don't know. It's crazy to me sometimes. But she and I are talking because I have, and any of you, that's why you need to know and be an advocate for yourself and have an advocate for you to know your body and know what you should be doing. I was just mentioning because of my clotting disorder that we would have to watch that. And so what I was saying is at the break, I had the absolute lowest level. They're like, wait, we could maybe do a little bit more, but let's see how you're feeling. But as someone knowing my background, you're saying we probably couldn't do much more. Is that right?
That's right. It comes down to if the juice is worth the squeeze. So if you are, if you came to us and you said, I'm having night sweats, the temperature of my house is 60 degrees, my husband's walking around in a sweatshirt all the time, then we would consider adding more to it. If you're feeling good, your body has a way of just kind of regulating itself and having a new normal. That's probably why you're able to function at what you are. So that's why we like to look at the individual symptoms that you have. If we're able to tweak things a little bit safely, then we do so.
Safely.
But like
safely.
But like you said, if knowing your history, sometimes not knowing is nice because now you have this knowledge. But before you go and you get put on a pill, you need to do a little bit of investigation because there are a lot of things that are out there that can be a lot more harmful than just night sweats. So
right. Okay, everybody else, someone said years ago my multivitamin made me sick. It was the iron.
Yeah,
interesting.
Again, probably too much iron. Then you're looking at things like constipation and it's very important that you just have a daily that you hit that daily recommended value and you're not overshooting things. You need to know what is in each of the multivitamins. If you're taking something that is already supplementing your vitamin A, then you don't need to take a vitamin A supplement or you don't need to take anything that's going to naturally raise those levels. So it's really important that you know how those vitamins are interacting and you don't just, oh, I heard garlic was good, so now I'm going to take garlic.
Right.
Oh, I heard valerian was good, so now I'm going to take valerian, and here's my multivitamin, and oh, here's some extra vitamin C. You really need to know how those are going to be working together.
Absolutely, and it's crazy. It's also the same thing, doctors will ask you when you're listing medications, they'll ask you about your supplements and your vitamins. You've got to be honest with them. List it all on there because then sometimes they'll be like, here it is. This is the trigger. This is what's causing the problem. But you've got to be honest with them. You've got to be real with them. So Michelle brought up a good point. She said that she always got nauseous after taking multivitamins in the morning, got her panels done at InVita. Turns out she didn't need them. She said my body was saying no thanks.
Right. So whether it is your kidneys that are like no thanks and they get rid of it that way, or your stomach is like no thanks and then it wants you to get rid of it this way, then that's what can happen with as far as from a gastrointestinal standpoint.
It's amazing. Again, there's a lot of money that you're probably wasting right now, things that maybe you don't need, and you could get it actually in food form. We showed you those pictures earlier. So many things I hope you were looking at, well beyond just oranges or orange juices. You saw there was garlic on there. There is ginger that was on there. We didn't see the one little powder was turmeric, which is I'm a huge proponent of turmeric for so many reasons. Try it again just in baking and cooking, and then maybe you take it in a supplement form. But one of the things we wanted to address today is, are you wasting money on all the things that you're doing? You don't even know what they're doing for you. So number one, I want you to reach out to Dr. Sara Franco, her staff at InVita Health and Wellness. Find out what your panels are. Once you know that, then they're armed with, okay, here's where you are going wrong. And it's nothing that you're doing bad, but you're deficient in this or you're low in that. So when can I come see you?
You can come in anytime. And another thing that we offer, we just, full disclosure, none of us are nutritional, specialists or nutritionists. But we also, if your levels are close to where they want to be, and you don't want to get supplementation or you don't necessarily need supplementation, then we can give you a list of fruits and vegetables and hidden sources of these things that you can just incorporate into your daily life. It doesn't necessarily mean taking a pill for something or taking a shot for something. So
okay, good point. All right, InVita Health and Wellness. Okay, the website again is InVitaHealthAndWellness.com, and then it's 333 South Kirkwood or North Kirkwood?
South Kirkwood Road.
333 South Kirkwood Road, and then your phone number?
314-394-0950.
All right, everyone, great questions. There's the website. There's another number on there, and I used to always get confused.
Right, so that is the number that they use. It's just for marketing, tracking,
Gotcha.
and things like that. So that will actually lead you to the number that I just gave you.
All right, 314-394-0950, and you're seeing it right there. That's the website, InVitaHealthAndWellness.com. Any information that you want, you can always post here, or if you want to email me, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. If you say, hey, I'd love for Sara to come back on and address this, same thing. We've got two really amazing people in the medical field. Actually, I say three, because Dr. Richard Lehman hasn't been on in a little while, but wonderful orthopedic surgeon. And then we've got Sarah taking care of your body on the inside and out. And then, of course, we have our Dr. Charles Willie and Ask the Doctor segments that we do on Monday. And I want to sprinkle more of that in because that's the body side of my triangle, right? I help you with this. I help you with this. I help you on the physical side of working out. I life coach with you. Those are the things that we're able to offer you. But then I want to do that nice handover to the professionals. Okay, you know I always end my show the same way.
Yes.
Which one are you feeling today? Anger? Not you getting rid. Now she's not feeling angry. 100 days to freedom from anger or shame, depression, overeating, or fear and anxiety.
Let's do fear and anxiety.
Oh, fear and anxiety. All right, fear and anxiety it is. This is how we wrap up our shows, and it's just to try to break you from if you're dealing with any of these things. But I like to bring them together, and then we said we have at least 500 days together, because a lot of these add depression, leads to fear and anxiety, leads to shame, overeating, all those things if we're not balanced. So this one's called Never Alone. Do not be afraid, for I have ransomed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. When you go through deep waters, I will be with you. When you go through rivers of difficulty, you will not drown. And when you walk through the fire of oppression, you will not be burned up. The flames will not consume you. For I am the Lord, your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. That's from Isaiah 43, verses 1 through 3. So think about this. Anxiety and fear can create what? Isolation, as you may know personally. Maybe you have had those feelings. And when they invade your mind, it can block you from recognizing God's presence or welcoming the support of loved ones who are there to lean on. The feelings actually become like a cage that keeps you from experiencing peace in your own trials. So take a minute right now. Do me a favor. Think about the places and the trials that God has brought you through. And then after the show wraps up, I want you to think about it a little bit more, because that's how we go into meditation. If the voice of anxiety and fear is loud in your mind today, you might have trouble coming up with many things. If you woke up this morning, thank God. How many times do I say, wake up and pick your intentional word for the day? Say your prayers. Then you start to fill out that triangle. If you have a roof over your head, if you have food to eat, you have clothes to wear, I say if you have breath in your lungs, clean water to drink, we could go on and on and on and on. You can thank God. When we direct our minds to the way God has met our needs, it prepares us to trust Him to carry us through the times of trial coming in our future. Notice that the passage from Isaiah doesn't say if you go through deep waters or if you walk through the fires of oppression. It says when, which means that God knows what is ahead of you and will be present with you throughout your life. Make time today to focus on how God has been there for you. Anne Lamott said, if I were going to begin practicing the presence of God for the first time today, it would help to begin by admitting the three most terrible truths of our existence: that we are so ruined and so loved and in charge of so little. Max Lucado said, people just assume, well, all my life I'll be a warrior. That doesn't have to be true, though. There's a way to drink from God's presence so much that worry begins to dissipate. And Chuck Swindoll said, vision is the ability to see God's presence, to perceive God's power, and to focus on God's plan in spite of the obstacles. Today's prayer: Lord, help me see you as I search for you. Thank you for the blessing of your presence. Amen to that one. Oh, that's a good one. I really like that one today. Thank you for picking that, Sarah.
You're welcome.
For all of you, thank you so much for tuning in. And one more time, we'll have Sarah on again. Don't you like doing the lives?
I do. I like this. It's a little high, high anxiety with the on the spot questions, but that's okay.
She's like, I got this.
We'll get this.
So again, if you have any questions that you would like for Sarah to address in the future, just let me know. If you have a topic that you would like for me to cover, same thing, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Tomorrow we will be doing Mobile Monica. Mark won't be with me. I think he's at the Bahamas or something. But I will be pulling a name for one of Monica's must-haves. It's those candles that I told you about, those Black Forest candles that I love at Mark Anthony. So I'll be live for you tomorrow, and we'll be talking about, again, calmness and focus and presence while you're going through the rush of the season. So trying to help you with that a little bit. And we might have a special Wet Your Whistle Wednesday live, kind of more towards the happy hour time period. We've got a really incredible wine that we'll feature this week. We're going to feature a whiskey next week to wet your whistle. Thank you all again for tuning in today, for being a part of the show. Remember to take these shows and then share them. Don't keep them to yourself. Share them with everyone so that we can start spreading this kindness throughout the world. And you know how I end every show. Go out, be anything that you want to be. But before you're anything, be kind.